gets really obnoxious, but the setup around him was what really enabled Forge to be a game winner there and claims his first MVP of the split. Now we have Anyone's Legend remaining on this blue side, and Nico will join the battle.
You know what?
Yeah, you know what? Maybe. Yeah.
I respect it. I respect
So
it
do I.
when it was Legend. They're like, you know what? Nah. Vigadu ran away as well. So the whole strategy from Ultra Prime basically being taken off the table. But Annie has made it through the bans. It was a huge pick at MSI, and it's going to remain strong here in the LPL. Remember, it is that flex pick, although the vast majority of the time we do see it in the mid lane.
Yeah, we do, but with the bans laying the way they do, it does mean that Zeri is up and available. And it will be locked in here for Doggo. No. No! Not again!
Oh, no.
No! We return!
Okay, let's calm down. Yeah,
Okay.
Yuumi's back, everyone. Commiserations to you all. But crucially, doesn't have the same level of sustain that she used to. Bit more like buffing, bit more shielding. Doesn't have the same like healing power behind.
Yeah, not quite the same as the ultimate now. That does the healing. And we'll see whether or not the Yuumi Zeri is as strong as it used to be. Spoiler alert, it's still pretty damn strong. Just about whether or not it reaches those same levels of absurdity of old. It will be joined alongside this Gragas pick up, so we'll see where exactly it will end up. Of course, three-way flex. Still the Gragas, very, very powerful. Anyone's Legend went towards that Zeri. Not went towards Zeri, went towards the Aphelios plus the Lulu. Beg your pardon, and we know exactly what this combination can do. So both hyper-scaling with enchanters on either side. It's going to be about how both these teams decide to try and wrap up their drafts, their compositions with engage tools and things to try and stack on top to make the life of these hyper carries very difficult.
Yeah, gonna be. I mean, like, nothing in this draft is new. I feel like we've seen all of this before over the last year or two.
What?
We got a Lulu alongside a Aphelios. We got a Yuumi with a Zeri. Sure, Yuumi is functionally different, but fundamentally, she's still going to sit on Doggo's shoulders. She's still going to buff him up. Now also giving a bunch of move speed and attack speed with the Zoomies. I mean, obviously gave move speed before, but like the Zoomies is going to make Doggo a monster, is the long and short of it. So now with the Sejuani banned, Viego, Lee Sin banned, down to the junglers.
Oh, Wukong
slipping on through. Ning happy to grab that.
Yeah, man. Wouldn't it be really cool? Actually, no. We have to have a bit of a different jungler here for Xiaohao because there's so many things. Wait here, unless something's slipping my mind. There's the Ksante, which is likely to get locked in. Will go into ZDZ's hands. What will the jungle pick be? I mean, it feels kind of awkward. Maokai, yeah, Maokai is probably the best. If I had to.
You do have a lot of AP with the Annie though.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I feel. Oh, okay. Now this is
was
hot
banned.
Yeah,
in one of the other games. I think it was game 2. This was banned out. I've not seen this, but perhaps this is something new. They'll be sneaking into the meta. Xiaohao locking in the Nocturne.
Okay, so one thing I will talk about with this Nocturne is its ability to stick onto something like Zeri, even if it's got a Yuumi on top of it, right? Get towards the Stride Breaker. The R is undodgeable, right? If there's no wall to hop over, you're stuck. You're going to get slowed down, then you're going to get feared unless you can flash and cleanse that away. So I do like it in terms of getting on top of Doggo. It's just about who else on Anyone's Legend can actually follow up and be around those targets, right? So Xiaohao's going to have to be very, very particular about when he actually goes in with that ultimate, because generally it feels like he's not going to really have a dive buddy with it much.
No, not going to be able to have the whole squad going in. Unless you go like, you know, Pinzy, Rocket Belt, Flash at Tithers kind of thing. And then the Nocturne flies in. Also, all out. You could all out someone, and then Nocturne follows it. So you can. There are ways. There are ways.
Yeah. I like what you're cooking.
We'll see. We'll see what they've got up their sleeves. I'm ready for it, though. I'm here for it. Nocturne locked in for Xiaohao. We'll see how he's going to do on the Rift when he brings it on through. Anyone's Legend, though, looking fantastic. Game number 1. Couple of mistakes being heavily punished by Ultra Prime in game number 2. And it has to be said, Ultra Prime, that I love that decisiveness. I want to see more of that in this series. I want to see that continue. But Anyone's Legend, their early game really has been the shining factor for them, right? The Xiaohao's pathing in game number 1 was great. I feel like the early game was similarly good in game number 2 as well. So we'll have to see if they can keep that rolling. But Gragas versus Annie mid. does feel like Addy should be able to get herself some priority.
Yeah, definitely should, but again, with the minion changes, roaming can be a little more punishing, can be a little bit more difficult to also just generally execute, so it could just be another game of moderately low roam rates from the mid lanes, but at the very least, like you mentioned, priority will always be there, right? So first move around objectives and generally skirmishing should be pinz favored, should be anyone's legend favored, and like you mentioned, and like we've been pointing out for a lot of this series so far, given how Xiaohao's been pathing, and generally how intelligent it's been, how smart it's been, not thinking Ning in these early stages could definitely bring about massive dividends.
Yeah, so I feel like our two compositions, you know, Ultra Prime kind of leaning into MSI still, you know. This, despite the fact Yuumi obviously wasn't at MSI, fundamentally, this is the same kind of like tank mid, front to back. We saw a fair bit of Gwen at MSI. While there was most teams leaning towards tanks, we did still see some teams playing with the Gwen for team fight prowess and for AP damage while you're running with Doggo as your main hyper carry. Side of AL though, like you say, tougher to pull off, definitely more execution based. And I will say, 3 games of Aphelios so far. Not looking to mix things up at all in that bottom lane. They're very happy to just play Aphelios every single game. And I can see the reason, right? Like, so far, so good. We've seen good mechanics on the pick, but on top of it, it's just a very strong pick in League of Legends right now.
Yeah, and, you know, if it ain't broken, don't fix it, right? It's working here for AL. Generally, the 2v2s have been pretty their favored, so keep it coming. We'll see how it works into this Zeri and Yuumi. And one thing I would like to talk about, because we haven't seen Yuumi, of course, since MSI. It was also disabled, if I recall correctly, for a lot of regions playoffs. It's not all of them, I think. So it's been a good while since we've seen the cat. Thank the Lord. Unfortunately, it's back. Couple of different changes, right? Ultimate can now also be aimed by the Yuumi, right? Have to remember that it used to kind of just be, sometimes it could whiff. This time around, it kind of just can't. So SwordArt will be afford more leverage in that regard. Does also heal the target that they're on, and of course there is the best friend mechanic now, where effectively if they're attached the Yuumi to their best friend, they just get way more stats compared to what they used to get. Now Xiaohao is spoken about the pathing. He's looking for another invade. He won't get the wolf cap.
He is. Yeah, Ning gets the smite. Ning's sort of forced out there, but not fully at this point. Although, yeah, Ning sees better of the play.
Yeah.
Xiaohao
This is
won't
awkward.
be able to stick around though. I think he's got to leave.
Yeah, so the awkward thing is, because Xiaohao's taken his 3 camps on the bottom side, if he walks up towards the top side, his bottom lane is exposed to a potential attack from Ning. So he has to stick around here. He's got lane priority, so he can continue to keep pressure up and high, and just kind of stalemate Ning, not let him farm, and then they stay at equal footing. Also, the Skull Crab spawning here, I guess that's also something that Xiaohao can contest over. Has to hold on to that E. Just because the tether, of course, will always reveal Ning if he goes into the decoy. Will eventually win out and get the Skull Crab. Curious to see, with all the priority he's got, whether or not he's going to go for another re-invade.
Looks like he'll get the crab and will just retreat in the end. But his chickens are coming up, and his crooks will come up after that as well. So can stay crucially on that bottom side. Like you were saying before, was kind of biding his time to make sure he didn't just leave his bottom lane out to dry while they were just crashing waves in. And the chickens respawning means he can stay on this bottom side of the map.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't even be surprised, even though there's ward coverage, to just see him potentially hover back down towards the bottom side, but wants to now go towards where he knows there's more XP and gold to be had. We'll get double skull, actually, in this game. And then return back to farming more of his camps. And again, AL with the information game, right? Know roughly what Ning's pathing is, so that ward will eventually give even more information in the future once that chicken camp spawns up, because you can see Ning, where's he got to go? Towards the top side, towards his Krugs, towards the Raptors, because that's where his farm is spawning up.
Yeah, absolutely. So they'll be able to spot him, they'll be able to keep a track of him, and so far in the early games they have been doing a good job of using that information effectively and trying to find advantages across the map off the back of it. It has been like, I feel like it's basically been, oh, Forge! Flashes away, will survive. Only just though. Flash for flash in the mid lane.
Flash for flash. pinz maybe feels a little bit more worse for wear for that, because Forge is always going to have, you know, non-committal setup for Ning to come in. So now Ultra Prime maybe can find a very strong 2v2 once level 6 comes in. Xiaohao, however, if he does hit level 6, will always be able to respond if he's near and in the area, right, with the global of the ultimate. So still have to take some care in that regard. But still, with no flashes now, mid lane a lot more volatile.
Yeah, to say the very least. It's definitely going to be potentially a scrap there, especially once Annie hits 6. Like, you can imagine Forge could be in big trouble, and pinz literally hitting 6 as we speak. So, curious to see if Xiaohao will try and go for that. Doggo with a good little slide. How far can he get? Not bad. Not a bad little go. You do see people going from the actual Nexus for that, but halfway up the lane seems to be the preference for Doggo. The Zeri slide tech is evolving over the years.
It is, and actually, what I also wanted to point out whilst I was talking about Yuumi, but we had the invade earlier on, is Zeri is also going towards a Triforce build. Now, with the buffs to the item, Zeri, if you recall when she first came out, I actually think she was intended to be a Triforce champion. Not very often that we see AD carries go towards that item, but now with the way that some of the mythics have changed for some champions, and Zeri, of course, used to lean on the Immortal Shield bow so heavily, finding new builds and build paths. I believe it's Triforce into the Runans off the top of my head. There's a lot of different options you can go towards. Yeah. It really just depends on what the game state is and how much damage you're able to get out with some of those items. One of the things about those item changes, of course, a lot more versatility, I suppose. But away from that, Dragon being stunned up again by Ale, but this time Ultra Prime, they're in the area. Ning
here. He wants to go for the steal. He's trying to move in.
He's got
Ning gets it. They did not have the vision, and Zorah goes down as well on top of everything. Forge will be the consolation prize for anyone's legend, but Ning makes it happen, sneaks on through.
Yeah, all right, Ultra Prime, they break the mold of the previous. Oh my goodness me.
Hery's in trouble here. The all-out comes out from ZDZ. The needle work trying to turn it around, and it's ZDZ in trouble. The minions can't finish the job. Knocks him back, looks for damage, and gets the shield. They're both so low on HP, but ZDZ's on the wrong side of the play. The minions will be chasing him down, but Hery not confident to chase it, not confident to go for more. Doggo now gets the slow on through in the bottom side. The zap is there. Doggo flashes, but it's answered flash for flash from the AD carries, and here comes Nocturne. I hope you don't have nightmares here, buddy, because Doggo actually doesn't. He does not have nightmares.
No,
he just slides away.
He just cleanses them away. He's all right. But so much going on the map there. The top side play, I think I'm, audaciously wishing here. I hope we can replay that 1v1 because it was so clutch. So many micro things just going awry for both sides to not actually end up picking up the 1v1 kill. But on the bottom side, flash cleanse blown by Doggo and Xiaohao. Use the ultimate, and one of the old things you used to talk about with picks like Nocturne, like Shen the Globals, right? You would often gauge how successful the pick would be by how strong those first uses of the ultimates were. This time around, only picking up summoner spells of Doggo, you really want to see the next use of that ultimate actually pick up a kill, some gold on the back end of the play.
Well, the bot lane from Doggo and SwordArt only just resetting, now moving towards this Herald, where as you can see, Ale's bot lane moving over long ago, not spotting that control wall, which could be bad news for them. But the wave being crashed on top side, Xiaohao should be able to just clean things up there and move over as Ning starting off the Herald. TP not available for ZDZ. He's on the bottom side of the map, and that'll mean AL, despite rotating the bottom lane up to the top side of the map, won't be able to contest the Herald.
All right, well, Ultra Prime winning out on the macro game this time around. Replay of this steal from Ning here. Q plus smite. A little bit of the cyclone damage as well. Just wins out, and Xiaohao's been winning a lot of the smite throughout this series. Unfortunately, Ning gets the better of him here finally. No 1v1 on the top side. It doesn't matter as much, mostly because of how close they came there to picking up that kill. But of course, the summoner spells do get blown by Xiaohao. Forward movement here. Feel like they can just about get him. Flash for flash, heal as well. That's when Nocturne comes in and blows the cleanse.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's Zeri. Shouting out Neon as he flies over the Valorant sign in the wall there. Gotta go fast, I believe is the term. Will be able to get out with his life. So Doggo, both sums down, but crucially didn't fall into play. Didn't get the kill either, so all in all, I don't know who wins the bottom lane play. I'm not sure anyone really wins that bottom lane play, but Ultra Prime do win off the back of the resets, getting tempo and getting priority over the Herald.
Yeah, it's more like, can Xiaohao make it down to the bottom side and actually punish the fact that Doggo currently doesn't have summoner spells for the next minute? I feel like the answer is likely to be a result, but could be proven wrong, of course, but I just feel like for now, the way that Anyone's Legend are set up, even though they are now finally sending Chicho back towards the bottom side, we just won't likely see a play, just because the engage tools are so limited from their side.
Doggo trying to push this wave as fast as he can, but the thing is the Aphelios still very, very good at pushing waves, still very good at finding priority, even if the plays have been going well, even if the CS numbers are pretty heavily in favor of Doggo this game. Like, you could see, like, this build is getting old school. Look at the build from Aphelios. BF sword into Zeal. You kind of love to see it. That feels really old school.
It does indeed.
Feels like a Tristana build.
Yeah, true actually. Miss those days. Miss those days a lot. Not really. Tristana back in the day. Do you remember the old Tristana where the E was like a bleed, and then sometimes like season 4 and 5 you get AP Trist, get hit with a point and click bleed for like 800 damage.
They like jump in, DFG, E ult, and half your health has gone from the ult, and then you just watch the rest of your health bar tick down. You're like, no, no! And then you cry, and then you report the player for playing AP Tristana. ZDZ going hard again as Hery gets some damage down. I don't think there's space, although Xiaohao moving over does have his ultimate available. That paranoia in play. ZDZ trying to look juicy. Hery not biting just yet. But there we go. Knocks him back. The all out to pull it further as well. Ghost proc, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The needlework.
Oh, will it?
Find a little bit of health back, but ZDZ slams him into the floor.
Yeah, Ghost does mean that Xiaohao does also blow his flash, but at the end of the day, they still pick up the kill. So they trade that Anyone's Legend for this Dragon. So this time around, this Ultra Prime, I mean, first Dragon definitely stolen away. Second one prioritized and picked up in response to the play going on the top side. But I think Anyone's Legend just kind of recognizing they can't really punish the bottom side as well as they'd like and just trying to swap up the play.
Yeah, I was about to say as well that the Herald taken. So 3 neutral objectives, but crucially, the Dragon just sets up perfectly for Doggo to move on over and collect these 2 plays. So really nice bit of map play coming out from Ultra Prime. It feels like game number 1, perhaps a blip on the radar, perhaps just a warm-up game, because game number 2 and now game number 3 looking much cleaner.
Much better. Much better indeed.
Zorah
Like
and
you
getting
said.
your recall cancelled. Name a more iconic duo.
It's very iconic, because I mean, yeah, maybe just a little bit of download needed for Ultra Prime waking up a little bit now in these last, 30 minutes of the 3rd game. Definitely the last section of game number 2 as well. But still, Anyone's Legend do have options, right? I don't feel like it's a situation where they're out of it. The gold lead as well is very, very incremental difference, rather, not so much a lead really. So I think until we see like a major advantage, right? I think the 3rd Dragon is where things will really break open for this game. And we'll await with bated breath. Items still need to come in for a lot of these core members and carries on both sides.
So, 3.5 minutes till that comes up, 1.5 minutes until Herald. Talk to me about how these skirmishes need to go. If you're the side of AL, right? Like, you've already lost the first 2 Drakes. You're not going to want to let them get to Soul Point. How do you play that out? We talked about, like, maybe Xiaohao doesn't have dive buddies. How do they make it work so that he's not going in the lane?
I think realistically, you're just looking to try and set up these pockets of fog, and Zeke can try and find a really nice Tibbers or a flank, and then Xiaohao comes in afterwards, right, on top of a target, or just generally just to provide a massive stride breaker slot, right? Then you kind of just get the chase down going. I think that's realistically how Anyone's Legend want to try and play this game out. It's going to revolve heavily around just, being able to move into these areas of the jungle. First, set up vision, deny it away from Ultra Prime, and then things can get a little bit spooky for them, but at the end of the day, you've got 3 frontliners and a Yuumi, so they're never really going to be too afraid, but if you can find that burst, if you can be the one that punches first, right? I think striking first in a game like this, very crucial. That's probably the game plan for Anyone's Legend.
All right, so try and hit hard, hit fast. Try and control vision to set up essentially an assassination attempt onto potentially President Doggo. But honestly, there's a few players that you could try and find. Although I will say Gwen tough to get, Wukong tough to get, Gragas tough to get. Maybe it is just President Doggo. Maybe he's the only available target.
I mean, AD carry. It's the most important role, right? You've gotta not make yourself that target, as Chicho was definitely thinking about moving forward, but wasn't quite sure about where the rest of Ultra Prime could be behind him.
Zhiqiuyi Does have red and white for now, but I think he might have just run out of red. You'd hope he'd hold on to one bullet just so he can use that red Q to set up his crescendo, but no, goes to green and white. Green and white still very, very strong in the fights. But having the 3 Qs on Aphelios often can be a massive difference maker in some of the fights. Getting the harass down is always going to be nice too. Onto Doggo here. Herald started up. Everybody moving over. TP immediately from Forge to see Hery on the top side of the play as well. Doggo, very aggressive positioning, but you can get away with it on the Zeri. Forge moving forward to ZDZ. Face tanks 2K on the Herald. We're going to flip it here, and it's taken by the Wukong. Ning to grab that one. Final chapter across the whole squad. Doggo untouched completely as pinz goes down. ZDZ the next target. He tries to turn around, pulls Doggo back. In they go with Aphelios too. Oh, jumps back into the play, but the shield is there. And the kitty cat can't do squat. Forge finishing one off though. And it's too low to go back in. Forge gets knocked up and somehow goes down. And it is debut series. He comes on in. Zhiqiuyi finds the penta.
LPL ADCs eat your heart out. Zhiqiuyi comes in with a pentakill in his debut series. Absolutely insane. It was looking like it was gonna be Doggo set up for the pentakill, but they turn it around. It all comes off the back of the fact that ZDZ was able to CC him down, actually put him in an awkward position, will get things kicked off from the start of the fight because it looked disastrous. Not just for anyone's legend, but also for Zhiqiuyi, just because of where he was. The Yuumi ultimate coming across the entire team. There's so much AoE generally, but throughout the Calibrum ultimate gives him so much DPS. I think there was a turret in the mixer as well. So he's able to burn down at least 2 targets. Triple kill for him. And then at this point, you're thinking, right, he's going to be taken down, but the shield comes in from Zorah, keeps him alive, and the triple kill comes down from Doggo. And at this point, as long as they can space out Forge, space out Yuumi, Penta is in his back pocket. Debut pentakill. Not many players get to say that about their debut on a major region.
Pentakill in your first ever best of 3 in a major league. That is something special for Zhiqiuyi. He's going to remember that his entire life. What a moment. And crucially, narrowly dodging a Q from Doggo there as well. That is the difference maker. The mechanics absolutely on point, and you love to see it. Like, if you weren't excited about this player already, get excited about this player because he is popping off. Now Drake onto the map. Ultra Prime with 2 already.
Anyone's legend, after finding that 5 kills onto the Aphelios, he's going to be juiced. They need to try and get him into the front line so he can burst down some of these members. He's got good guns for AoE as well, good guns for survivability, and Lulu should be able to keep him alive. Just about whether or not Ultra Prime can turn onto him. The dragon's burning down lower and lower. Here's pinz.
Oh.
Lights are off.
I was so sure that was going to be a Tibbers right there, but doesn't go for it. pinz knocked into the rest of the team. ZDZ in trouble. The junglers just fighting over the Drake as Hery goes in with the needlework. Big damage across team. Moonlight Vigil is there. Zhiqiuyi in the middle of everyone. He's on the front line right now, and he's taken down by Doggo. Goes too far forwards, and Doggo has to clean up, but he's all alone. The Yuumi, though, isn't enough. No! Ankle breaker comes on through. Xiaohao wants a little bit more.
Oh, God.
No way. Do we get multiple pentas here? Hery, the next target. He's going to be feared, but snips him to pieces. It's absolute carnage on the rift. The shield comes on through. pinz cannot quite finish the kill.
Oh my god, how many years are in this game? We have an Aphelios moment. Doggo on Zeri almost pops off 2 fights back to back. But in the end of it, it's about Hery and SwordArt who keep themselves alive. They find the turnaround kill. Objective, I believe, went towards anyone's legend in the pit. It was the junglers scrapping it out. Eventually, Zhiqiuyi, the reason why he ends up on the front line is because he gets involved in that 1v1 inside the pit. pinz drops Tibbers front line, and pinz Hery able to slide out on the top side, but the dragon that goes over. This ultimate from Zhiqiuyi is pretty good, but at the end of the day, it's not as much burst damage as perhaps he was hoping for. And because of the positioning, gets himself assassinated by Doggo. Knocked back again from ZDZ on to this Zeri. 2nd fight in a row. Secures that kill, but again, so many years. Gwen is immune into a little bit of shielding. It's just a little bit too much to deal with. Chopped down to size. Xiaohao is by Hery.
Yeah, I respect the attempt, but a little too much. Oh no,
Here we go.
Zhiqiuyi in trouble once again. No summoners to work with. The root gonna come on through, and he's down. He's taken out of the picture. And Doggo survived. No, there's a bear. He ain't going nowhere. SwordArt next target. Taken out of the play, but it's a triple kill. Once again, Hery the target this time. before the ZDZ flees. It's not going to be another Penta, but it will be the Baron.
Oh my goodness me, no way. Double Penta
Jamada, what is happening in this game?
I don't know, man. I'm at a loss for words. But Ultra Prime should be able to secure this Baron. Easy peasy. Maybe Xiaohao comes out. Maybe ZDZ can cause some disruption, right? He can all out Ning potentially from the pit, cut down the damage. You get Hery. Let's see what he does. It's Ning.
It's a bold play, but he goes for the all-out onto Ning. Like you say, Cyclone in play is doing a lot, but can't quite finish it off. The all-out surely gives him the damage to finish the job. Ning, the target, and taken down. ZDZ with a solo kill. The hero play to stop the Baron attempt, and now they pause it. It doesn't fully reset. 8,000 ZDZ having to tank Xiaohao here with the smite. Forge has to try and go in. Xiaohao uses the paranoia. The smite is there. The laser can't get it from Doggo. And AL somehow get a Baron.
Oh, LPL, how I have missed you so damn much. Anyone's Legend will secure the Baron at the back of one of the most insane sequences of play I've seen, well, since the LPL was on break, to be honest with you. Doggo doesn't quite get assassinated until the bear comes down. That's when finally he drops. He engaged. The turnaround, a good idea from anyone's Legend given the position they were in. But then all of a sudden, Hery's just chopping through members left, right, and center. And you're thinking for a second, double pentakill, surely not. Eventually they turn towards the Baron and ZDZ with the heroics. Eventually gets Ning outside of the pit and spaces him to death in the extended play.
Yeah, phenomenal stuff from ZDZ. Heroics, and I'm kind of surprised that Ning commits to this 1v1. Like, he's moving upwards in the play. He's trying to fight ZDZ. Just move back to the Baron now. Like, ZDZ can't actually 1v3 you. The other players stay on the Baron, and Ning commits to the 1v1. I feel like if you just go back to being a 3-man squad, the Baron belongs to Ultra Prime. But man, I want to go back to what you were just saying. Like, the first couple of games were fairly slow in this series, like fairly quiet. We didn't see that many kills in the grand scheme of things. We're back. LPL is officially back. This is what we were looking for.
Hell yeah, we were. And now, with the Baron in tow for another 90 seconds, you do wonder what anyone's Legend can actually get done here, just because the way the waves are on the map right now. And even Hery on the bottom side will just shove in that bottom lane, and probably move back towards the mid lane. A lot of damage available to both of these AD carries right now as well, so we are moving into that hyper carry territory. No. Ning's gonna be, I beg your pardon, Ning's gonna be fine with Shurelia's being popped on the opposite side. Anyone's Legend just uses the decoy to get away. But now, it should just be about this dragon, right? And the setup is there for anyone's Legend, a lot more vision on their end.
Remember, pinz, 2 items there with the Shadow Flame. This is a lot of damage. Even if you've got some shielding from Yuumi and that, like, that Tibbers is going to wreck. That is going to be a big moment in any fight, especially if you can find it onto Doggo. But, you know, hitting that onto Hery, hitting that onto Ning, they're both, assuming that the Shroud isn't up for Hery, they're both relatively squishy as well. So keep your eyes on pinz moving into these fights. Doggo trying to get the damage down, trying to fight for priority here. Zhiqiuyi has to be a big player here, has to be the difference maker. Xiaohao on the flank has ultimate available. ZDZ wants to fight. Hery does get the knock-up, and here we go with the all-out. Hery pulled back into play, has to use his onions. Where did he go? Ning just a blitz. He's a chapter though, turning it all around, and Doggo on the chase down. Tippers looks for more, but can't find it. Doggo can't connect to the targets. It's 1-for-1 somehow.
Somehow, blinking health bars though. On the side of Ultra Prime, they'll be able to base, teleport back onto the map, into the fold, and be ready for round 2. Doggo really testing his luck here, but he knows he's so strong. That's a double teleport. They should be able to walk away from it. Shurelia's again comes back up. Give them the movement speed out. This should be Ultra Primes. It's just that Ning is dead. They just have to buy time for him to come back out. But by the time he gets to the dragon, maybe ZDZ teleports in. I think anyone's Legend, however, maybe just making the call to give this dragon up and fight another day.
Chickens will be taken. Hery on the Drake. This is the sole point. Remember, Xiaohao trying to move on over. As Ning has respawned. He's at the blue buff right now, moving towards the play. Xiaohao, could he hexgate and go for the smite? Maybe ults into the pit though. And maybe can both find the smite, but they're just going to cut him down before the smite ever comes into play. Ning, the next target. ZDZ's behind enemy lines. He's looking for Hery, but the rest of the team can't follow up. He's alone and taking out 1v3. And now, we've got everybody low HP, low mana, knocked back into the play, taken apart. The team fighting from Ultra Prime comes out trumps.
Ultra Prime, man. They had us fooled in the first half, I've got to say. But game number 3 has been so much about them. It's been a bloodbath, nonetheless. But really, they have been turning on the Jets in the moments where it matters. Doggo stepped up, Hery as well.
If you didn't believe in Zeri Yuumi just yet, well, just look at how Doggo positions in these fights, how he's able to play in these fights, and you'll become a believer.
What changes sometimes just always ends up being the same, doesn't it? There's Zeri Yuumi continues to raid them all. Xiaohao tries to go in here. ZDZ can't find the angle, actually doesn't even have it out, so kind of just goes in for naught. And at this point, it's just the route. You can see Forge, great cask, even though he's killing Zorah here. It's like, yeah, sure, we can get Aphelios as well. And they find everything they want.
And the thing is, Jamada, we've been praising AL for their coordination so far today, especially in game number 1. That was not coordinated. That was like, okay, panic station, Xiaohao goes in to try and find a steal, but then he gets focused down. ZDZ, you can see the idea is like trying to go in with Xiaohao, but he's too late and ends up just kind of going in 1v4. Like, their coordination, great when they're in control of the chaos. Yeah. But this is chaos that they're not starting. This is chaos that is favoring Ultra Prime. It doesn't feel like anyone's legend are on the same page when it comes to these really messy situations.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I will say, however, I think it's just been a massive step up from Ultra Prime at the same time, right? I think when you've got a juxtaposed, very sloppy-looking Ultra Prime in that game number 1 and anyone's legend are also on point at the same time, it creates a much bigger rift in the level of gameplay that you're witnessing from both sides of the coin. Man, this time around, it's just been both.
I wish I could hear what Xiaobai said to this team after game number 1. Like, what were the words of wisdom that Coach Xiaobai gave to Ultra Prime after, like, game number 1, like you say, very sloppy, very messy, not a good game for Ultra Prime. I was a little bit like, okay, they're the same as they were last split after game number 1, but now looking fantastic. Yeah, like you say, Baron just going to be taken here, and maybe a fight off the back of it as well. ZDZ going to be knocked back into the team. Hery, I don't think he minds being pulled over the wall too much. He's got his needlework there. Zach going to come on through. zhiqiuyi in the middle of everyone, using that Severum to keep himself alive and still going. Forge next target, but Doggo still alive as well. Cut down the triple for Doggo, and he wants a little bit more onto pinz. Can he find it? The slow in place. Stun should come on through. Instant cleanse from Doggo. Give him that quadra kill.
Yeah, quadra. Almost had a penta early on. Will be denied that privilege yet again, but Ultra Prime, nonetheless, get the Baron. Doggo still alive in the mid lane. Forge up in the top side, and they will claim 2 inhibitors at the very least. Won't end the game here, but it feels like the game-ending blow. And anyone's legend, they're gonna have to find something and dig deep. I mean, actually, death timers, it's only really long on pinz, so we'll just settle for 2 inhibitors. Yeah, we'll see what exactly the response can be, but it feels like it's going to be very muted at the very best for anyone's legend Ultra Prime full control.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to dig deep. They've got to dig deep at this point if they want any chance of coming back into the game. Hurricane finished off for zhiqiuyi, and we'll see if that's going to be enough. Oh, we get a pro view replay from Doggo here.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, let's see exactly what we get. So this pass is great, and even though they lose their planer, you can see that Doggo feels quite confident to just walk forward, not quite fully committing into the choke, letting his frontliners do that first. But as soon as he finds the angle over the wall, he free to just open up as the rest of his team kind of gives themselves up to, you know, the Blood God, but allows him to deal the DPS and get the damage in.
I've got to say, of all the pro views I've ever seen, not the most impressive. Like, he kind of shot a laser over the wall and jumped over and did 1Q. Interesting to see that he basically keeps locked camera at all times in the team fights. Even when he's not really DPSing, he's off on the side, like still keeping on the locked camera, just like use the
Let it
map
be
for his vision.
known that even the best players play with off camera.
During team fights. During team. Big caveat there of during team fights. Look at the aggressive positioning from Doggo. This is what I was talking about. He is fearless.
But like, he's got QSS and he's got a Yuumi on his back, right? Plus the cleanse and the flash and the fact that he can dash over the wall. He's got so much HP because of this build, which, by the way, you know, mentioned earlier, right? Triforce build, a lot of HP, a lot more stats. Generally, the item is just so much stronger.
Look at look at the fourth item he's got as well. Titanic Hydra. That's the kind of meta we're going into. We got tank AD carries.
Yeah, it was Titanic Hydra into that Bloodthirster, right? So it's just so much extra health, and just because of the way that Bloodthirster works now, if I recall correctly, if you stay above 50% HP, you get extra AD for staying above it. So you get even more stats on that item. So it's absolutely crack. And when you've got a Zeri plus the Yuumi with a Bloodthirster, you're probably never dropping below that threshold. And look how
they're just gonna 2v5. Look at him. Just walks at them.
Yeah,
you know, they buffed up Hurricane, which used to be a Zeri item, and Zeri's just like, nah, I'll just go Titanic Hydra. Forget Hurricane. Who needs that? I'll just go for some cleave instead. Tibbetts comes down, but not as down as Pinzy. As an easy pickup at Ultra Prime, they're going to finish the job in style. Diving underneath the Nexus Towers as see you later, everyone on the side of AL. Oh, kill taken by Ning. It's not going to be a Penta opportunity. The Scorch just splashing away. Forge's been having fun today, that is for sure. And Ultra Prime showing up in their first game of the LPL.